The fastest way to add club head speed to your golf swing is by creating more space in the backswing to accelerate the club. And really, there's nothing that's even close. I've seen people gain more than 20 miles per hour just by making this change in their swing. Now, that's not typical results. Typically, I'm going to see 5 to 10 miles per hour, but that's still huge gains, and it happens relatively quickly. Now, what do I mean by this creating more space in the backswing? What I'm talking about is basically getting this club to go longer in the backswing. And I know you may be thinking, I've tried this before. When I did it, I just got really, really wild, and it didn't really help me hit the golf ball further. I maybe hit it a little bit further, but I didn't hit. I was way wild, and I didn't want to do it anymore. Well, the reason why most people get in trouble there is because they're doing it in the wrong way. What I typically see is people start to slide their hips away from the target, their upper body moves toward the target, and they're in a position that's more like this. Now, this is lengthening my swing for sure, but now my hips have slid that way, so I can't really get a good weight shift to my lead side. I'm typically going to come over the top from this position because my spine angle is kind of leaning toward the target. I'm just going to have to make a bunch of compensations in the downswing that aren't going to help me to hit the ball, more consistently or in the sweet spot. And they're also, a lot of times, they're detrimental to your speed. You actually sometimes lose speed when you do that. So we're going to talk about today how we can actually turn the right way and be able to make the swing longer, create more space to accelerate the club while also maintaining our spine angles and our consistency. So basically it comes from the main two places are going to be our hips and our shoulders. So what first we want to do is we want to focus on getting those hips to turn. So in order to do that, what I want you to do is grab an alignment stick and put it through your belt loops here. And I'll show you how I would do that. Put it right through my belt loops. And what this is going to do is it's going to give me some feedback for how my hips are turning. Feel isn't always real, right? So when we feel like we're turning one way, the reality is we may not be. And this alignment stick going through your belt loops here is going to be a great feedback mechanism to give you an idea for how much your hips are turning or not turning. So I just want you to get your golf posture, put your arms across your shoulders here. Now I want you to turn your hips to see how much your hips can turn. Now your average tour player turns their hips about 50 degrees in the backswing. So if this would be 0, so here we are at 0, and then we're turning, and they get to about a 50-degree turn on average. Now there's some tour players that turn more than that, some that turn less than that, obviously. That's just the average. But that's a good 45 degrees is a good, half of 90 degrees is a good place to go for. Now if you're finding that you're having trouble, you're turning and you're only getting to, maybe 30 degrees, 20 degrees. There's some things that you can do to help free that up. So one is going to be turn your trail foot out, flare it out a little bit. I actually need to do this myself because I have an internal rotation limitation in my hip. So what that means is if I stand up like this, and you can do this with me, if I try to turn my toe in, I have a hard time doing that. I get a little pinch on the outside of my hip, and that is because I'm a little bit limited there. So when you're turning your hips, that's what your leg is doing in your hip, right? If my leg's staying still, my leg is doing that in my hip. It's internally rotating. So I need to turn my foot out to make that easier. So just flare that out. I think it'll make it a lot easier for you to make this happen as well. Now, the second thing that you can do is you can let this lead heel come up in the backswing. So if I put my arms across my shoulders here and I start turning, you can see I'm lifting my trail heel, and that's, if I put it on the ground, I can only turn that much. But if I let it come off the ground, look how I can get another 10 degrees. So that can maybe help you to get up there. There's a lot, don't be afraid to do that. There's a lot of great players that lifted their heel in the backswing. If you look at Jack Nicklaus, Bubba Watson, it saved Francesco Molinari's career, won a major after he started lifting his heel off the ground. So absolutely nothing wrong with that. A lot of great players have done that, and it really helps you to free things up to be able to get a bigger turn. The last thing that you can do if you're really struggling with this, and it may also help you swing from the inside a little bit, is to just drop this trail foot back a little bit. If you drop that trail foot back a little bit, it can help you to basically turn your hips away from the target a little bit more. So I just want you to get some reps in here where you're allowing the hips to turn as much as you can. I want you to feel like you're turning your tailbone toward the target, and you can see how I'm staying nice and centered. I'm pushing into the ground with my trail foot to push my hip back. I'm allowing my trail leg to straighten out a little bit. You can, don't be afraid to let that straighten out a little bit. That's completely fine. There's some bad instruction out there in the past. I've seen that they want you to keep that trail leg locked. Well, if you keep that trail leg locked, the hip's got to go somewhere, and typically it's going to be a slide, right? So we want to allow that trail leg to stay angled in and push back, push those hip back, so that way they can stay nice and centered, and you can get that nice turn as you're going up. So I just want you to do some of these nice and slow, and then once you start getting a good feel for the turn going back, go ahead and come all the way around into the full finish too, and try to get to where this alignment stick would be perpendicular to your target. So my hips are pointing right at the target. We want to get that good turn away from the ball, and then we want to get that good turn toward the ball. So just get some reps in where we're getting comfortable with how the hips are turning here and coming all the way around. Nice and slow, speed it up to where you can basically get to where you're at full speed with it. Next, we want to add the shoulders. The shoulders are the next piece. So we've got the hips turning, and now we want to get the shoulders turning on top of the hips. Now, a lot of where this turn comes from is our upper spine, our thoracic spine. That's where a lot of the mobility is in the spine. Again, your average tour player is going to be, around 50 degrees of that separation from the pelvis and the rib cage. That's in that upper thoracic spine area. Not everyone's going to be able to do that. As you get older, you're not going to have as much mobility there, but just try to do your best. I mean, obviously you don't want to hurt anything, but just want to turn the best that feels the most comfortable for you. Where you're going to be able to get some more is from the protraction and retraction of your shoulders. Your shoulders can actually move independently of your rib cage. So if you think about it, if I go like that with my lead shoulder, you can see my chest is staying still. If I go like that with my lead shoulder, that's called protraction. So that's basically pushing my shoulder blade away from my spine. If I put my shoulder blade toward my spine, that's going to be retraction. So when I'm going up to the top, my lead shoulder is protracting and my trail shoulder is retracting. So what I want you to do is do the same hip drill, and I want you to feel like as you go up to the top that you're trying to get those shoulders turned, and you're trying to protract your lead shoulder underneath your chin, and you're trying to retract your trail shoulder kind of behind your neck. That's what you want to feel like there. Get that good stretch in there, and then go around into the full finish again. And again, I want the alignment stick to be perpendicular to your target. If you can, try to get your shoulders to be going a little bit left of that for the right-hander. So again, I'm just going to do another one where I'm feeling like I'm getting that protraction underneath my chin here, the retraction behind my neck, and then I'm going to come around into the full finish. So I would just start speeding that up, get to where you can go faster and faster and faster with it. And then once you start feeling comfortable with that, and you're getting it in these swings with the arms across the shoulders, now I just want you to take the club and try to do that same exact thing. Nice and slow practice swing. I want you to go up to the top, feel those shoulders turning, let that heel come off the ground, feeling that lead shoulder protract, that trail shoulder retract, and then that's going to allow you to come all the way around into a full finish and be able to get a lot of nice speed there. So again, start out slow, go a little bit faster, take that pause out at the top, go and do it in more of a fluid motion. Then once you start feeling comfortable with that, now we can start speeding things up and get to where you're at full speed with it. And I think you're going to find you're going to get some easy, effortless speed. You're going to do that, and you're probably going to feel like you're swinging slow, but the reality is that you're going to be swinging the same as what you were before. Now, if you try to do that and you swing with some effort and get some speed out of it, then you can start seeing those speed numbers go up. And like I said, 5 to 10 miles per hour is typically what I see just working through something like that. But again, if you're someone who's not turning hardly at all, you're someone who's not turning your shoulders hardly at all, you may be able to get upwards of 20 miles per hour, which is huge gains. Typically, you can get 2.6 yards for every mile per hour that you gain. So highly recommend working through that drill, get those hips turning, get those shoulders protracting and retracting, and you'll start getting some easy speed without the downfalls that come with a longer swing, because you're going to stay in a nice spine tilt here, and you're not going to have your spine and your head moving around, so that way you can transfer that energy to the golf ball. So best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. If you work through these drills right now, you're going to gain some serious speed very, very quickly. But if we want those speed gains to stick around, we really need a system to work through to make it to where it's automatic. It's second nature. And that would be our power turn course from the Top Speed Golf system. Clay Ballard, the founder of Top Speed Golf, is going to go through that first video of the power turn course, and here in just a second if you stick around. But if you'd like to see the whole entire video, just click the iCard that's going to appear on your screen, or you can click the link below in the description. Play well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Most of the instruction out there today is killing you of your power. The things that they're telling you to do can make you hit it shorter, and worse than that, not even any more consistent. I'm gonna go over some of the real secrets to powerful, consistent golf in this video. Let's go and get started. So here's some of the keys into making that happen. If you wanna incorporate this in your swing, let me break it down exactly what you should do. Number one, let's focus on the belt buckle. This is another big misconception. I want to keep that belt buckle facing the ball so I can really stretch out my midsection and really get loaded up. I'm not a big fan of that. That's really going to kill your distance. In your backswing, I want to feel like that belt buckle rotates to the right and you really let your hips and legs be loose. Notice how my legs are moving here. I'm not trying to keep those rigid and tight, or I'm really just taking all the speed out of my swing. All right, so on that one, I really felt like I let my belt buckle rotate back. And a good key to this is feel like your knees are loose. Feel like when you make your backswing. Piece number two, let's go ahead and rotate our shoulders. When I let my lower body rotate, my upper body can rotate a lot better also. So if I let my hips move, my shoulders will move more. So here, once I've got my hips working well, I'm gonna add to that my shoulders making a big rotation. On average, on the PGA Tour, players are getting about 120 degrees of shoulder rotation. I don't see hardly anybody getting less than 90 degrees. So it starts with the hips, knees nice and loose, allow the belt buckle to rotate, and then from there, so those are two really big keys. But here's the truth. There's one thing, and if you don't do this correctly, nothing else is gonna work.